Your mission is to proceed up the Nung River in a Navy patrol boat. Pick up Colonel Kurtz's path at New Mung Ba. Follow it, learn what you can along the way. When you find the colonel, infiltrate his team by whatever means available, and terminate the colonel's command.
Terminate the colonel. He's out there operating without any decent restraint, totally beyond the pale of any acceptable human conduct. And he is still in the field commanding troops.
Terminate with extreme prejudice.
You understand, Captain, that this mission does not exist, nor will it ever exist.
Hey viewers, Lens Gorge Arthur here. Welcome back to another episode in the Combat Mission Black Sea. And this is the fourth scenario, the final scenario in the Ukrainian campaign, called For Some Desperate Glory. The finale to the campaign, the most difficult of the scenarios, using whatever's left from our first three battles. And our mission is to push north up along the road and take some of the facilities in the northern town manned by Russian motorized infantry and some kind of tank force in the northeast. Go to the briefing. Our forces of 1st Company have been diverted. Otherwise, our entire battalion tactical group. Okay, well that's 2 companies, I believe. Plus we'll have some sappers, engineers, some artillery and air support. So we'll have 1 company with tanks start on map, and then the 2nd company will follow in 4 to 5 minutes or so. And then each of the companies will have a 152mm howitzer battery. Pair of Su-25s, we'll need them. Derive and then support, and 4 Mi-24 attack helicopter gunships, which should be pretty useful. Airborne recon has revealed a great quantity of Russian AFEs, including main battle tanks moving into the base. This is a really serious enemy force. Indicates that the enemy is taking our advance very seriously. So we've dug into defensive hedgehog, there will be fierce counterattacks, and the enemy has air power. I guess our plan, according to the briefing, is to recognise what a safe approach is. Expect the enemy to have mines on their obvious routes. Sappers can clear some, recognise minefields, and we might be able to move through them. Enemy has air defences. Okay, well, that will counter our Su-25s and Mi-24s, and especially main pads. Our air controller claims that simultaneous air attacks for several units could increase their survival options compared to attacking piecemeal. So let's go to the ground. The first terrain feature is this road. Straight up, straight as a die from our deployment zone, and right up into the north. And the thing about this road, if my recon is right, is that it's the high ground, essentially, on this map, and anyone standing on the road is going to be skylined, despite the trees. So, first observation is don't drive along the road. And we'll see it on the other side that the ground slopes down to the east. Here we have ploughed fields. I think these patches are dry ground and these patches are soft ground. So the whole field represents bulk terrain. But if we go to the conditions, clear, hot, very dry, with a light wind, hopefully the ground is less bulk terrain than normal. There's a big patch of bulk in front of these trees. And the wheat fields are in effect. Infantry moving through the wheat fields might be able to disappear. Got a few islands of copses of trees in the middle of the wheat field. The forward edge of the Russian battle area could include snipers or scouts in those in these trees. And over here in the northeast, where the map indicates tanks, high walls, there's this kind of strange BMS track. Its paths are along it, and these BMX jumps, which will be great fun on a normal Saturday afternoon, could represent berms behind which Russian tanks could be held down. And if there are tanks in this region, then the whole area here becomes a great target for Mi-24 attack helicopters. You'll see a lot of Russians scattered about, and the vehicle facilities and so on are surrounded by high walls. We need to either break them or I think a BTR has been parked inside a partial building. That's I've never seen a vehicle enter a building before. That's novel. It's actually a destroyed Ukrainian vehicle. I won't be able to drive into a vehicle normally. We can see how at the end of the road going to be a big city fight. Vehicles on the left and on the right, and a big position on the far left in the trees. So let's have a think about the plan here. I'll sketch something out in PowerPoint, and we'll go over to that application, and I'll talk you through how we're going to approach this battle. I'll see you over there. So now we're over in the PowerPoint application, and I've captured the screenshots of the opening layout of the Russian defences, and been able to gather a bit more intel. Key intel is that on the right hand side here, a mixed force of tanks and BMPs supported by infantry. Some forces along the main road. On the left here, there's that strong point, mixed force of infantry and BMPs. Go to the next slide, we can see more infantry along the forest line on the right. A little bit of Russian forces along the tree line on the left hand side. Again, confirmation of mixed force of tanks and the BMPs. Tanks, some kind of ATGM force. More infantry. Again, infantry on the left and right. No new intel about the position here. And more of a top-down view, more of the same, ATGMs perhaps. And this is the final snapshot. I took some kind of fortification on the centre right. So what do we see summarising the Russian setup? We've got a position on the left, we've got a position on the right, two layers to this position on the right, tanks and BMPs, motorised infantry with BMPs on the right, mixed force motorised infantry on the left. We've got some kind of position on the VMX track and across the front of the centre of the Russian hedgehog. We've got some ancillary positions in the at the crossroads and along the tree lines. So we can lay out the fields of fire. At the back here there's a gap between the trees, these two belts of trees. It actually has a quirky line of sight right up the middle, and I've added some suspected positions of the mines in front of the position on the left in the tree lines, across this crossroads in the tree lines, a couple of banks perhaps, more mines crossing the tree line here on the main highway, through the forest belt somewhere in the middle of this ploughed field. Not sure if they're there, they could be anywhere. Again, mines potentially through this tree gap to make it difficult to come across the road into the centre. Mines across the crossroads again. And also laid out in yellow here potential fields of fire. So the left position has fields of fire right up along the centre road to catch people being skylined. The position here has line of sight right up to the corner and way out to the centre left. And obviously positions in the middle road have line of sight up the highway so far as the elevations allow. And the guys on the right hand side have line of fire crossing most of the field. So essentially there's three options for the Ukrainian attack: go to the left, go through the centre, or go through the right and pull up around the trees and then push through the town. I think my approach will be stage one, come up through behind with the cover of the raised road, knock out the Russian positions in the on the right hand side, and set up a bank of ATGMs in the tree line, and a bank of ATGMs on the raised road, hopefully to take out any vehicles that are hiding in the trees. And if we're worried about an armoured counterattack from the Russians, it'll either come presumably from the Russians on the right hand side, or potentially from the BMX track coming up through the wheat field. So we'll have ATGMs ready to knock out any vehicles that they see, as well as hopefully deal with any counter-attack. We'll use air power and artillery to strike at the Russians on the right hand side. Step two will be to move our forces up to the tree line through the market gardens, I suppose they are, knock out the strong point and use this gap rather than go through the minefields if they're there. We'll use this gap and stand up on the tree line here before we push into the village. Hopefully we'll have destroyed any vehicles that can put flanking fire into this portion of the road, and we'll have dealt with any Russian reinforcements coming up from the right hand side. And then step three will be to push on to the victory point locations: vehicle facilities, barracks, administration building, and touch the road. Very difficult scenario, one of the most difficult in the campaign, so we're going to have to be pretty disciplined about how we approach this. Our initial artillery will be to knock out the guys on the left, and we'll also strike at the Russians on the right, and follow up barrages on the centre right position and to knock out any Russians that are going to prevent us from touching the road. And of course we have a job for the air power. We'll first off hit the BMX track, and then secondly we'll just keep striking at the Russians moving in the village. So hopefully that is a plan that's going to work. It can be stymied at every point along the way, but we have got 3 hours, and if we're disciplined, then it's entirely possible that it can be done. But I suppose that the number of Russians we see even on the map and our weak starting forces, will certainly make this only a one-to-one proposition. And we know that the Russians have air power and artillery, which are definitely going to be wild cards. If the Russians have TRPs sprinkled liberally across this map, which I suppose they would have, if it's an assault scenario, they will have prepared some defences, then we can expect a hell of a time. Let's go over to look at our forces. So we're back at the map, and we have, we've got a BMP right there. Nice. Got a view of our starting forces. We have 2 platoons of tanks. These 4 which are fresh, and these 3, we've lost 1 in a previous battle. You'll see some of the ammo is depleted from these vehicles, because we're a bit excessive, but I think we have enough ammunition there to deal with any tanks. We may not have much in the way of high explosive. But so these guys on these 3 will be our anti-armour force primarily. But they are regular, and regular. These guys, regular, green, regular, and green. That is the story of the campaign. The Ukrainians are regular or green. So we do not want to have a fair fight. We want to pick off one Russian position at a time, rather than to take on the whole ball game. We have 1 platoon of infantry, another platoon of infantry, and we have another platoon of infantry here. We have a platoon of made-up grenade launchers, ATGMs, Corsairs, machine guns. We have Stugna, which will be very, very useful. Another set of Corsairs. So I believe I can split these guys 50-50, Corsair and a Stugna, and a Corsair or 2 along here. If we time it so we eliminate this position, deal with any counterattacks, and then move up to reinforce, we'll create a position along here. Then with our fire, ATGM fire, we should be able to deal with any vehicles in the trees, hopefully, without getting hammered by Russian artillery. We have breach teams for the walls. We have an RPO team. Somehow we've got to use that usefully. We have the combat group. We have forward observer. We have the air controller. 4 MI attack helicopters with ATGMs and heat missiles. Are useful, and we have some artillery. We've got 120mm mortars, which are out because we used them all in the last scenario. But we have some 152s, and we have some follow-up mortars as well. So I have to split our guns between the targets on the left and right. And we'll get some more reinforcements, I believe, another company, another 3 platoons of infantry. That'll be very useful. So I think if with our first company of infantry, if we can get to the tree line carefully, eliminate the Russians on the right, move up to the tree line, Then we'll have the second company push through. That would be our plan. Hopefully our tanks will survive long enough to have something to say, but the good thing is, for this scenario, casualties don't matter, so we don't need to preserve our forces. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the plan. Give us a like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you in the battle.